Today's FLT is today I'll be able to perform a rigid transformation by rotating a figure around a point by n degrees. So go ahead and pause the video and copy that down. A rotation is a type of rigid transformation where an image is turned about a given point by the angle of rotation. It can either be clockwise or counterclockwise. So now go ahead and pause that video and go ahead and write down the definition of rotation. Okay, so for this lesson, you are going to need 2 sheets of patty paper. So here's my first one. We are going to go ahead and first trace the x-axis and the y-axis on the patty paper. You are then going to copy down the pre-image triangle. And also on your patty paper, go ahead and label the vertex of each point, A, B, and C. And off to the side here, let's go ahead and write down the pre-image coordinates. I have A, which is at -2, 3. I have B, which is at -2, 0. And then I have C, which is at -4, 2. The very first thing is we are going to rotate 90 degrees clockwise. So all of them are clockwise. Think of a clock. Clockwise is always turning to the right. So we're going to go ahead and put the patty paper directly on top. We're going to rotate it 90 degrees clockwise. So you're just rotating it once to the right. Now you see that our triangle is in quadrant number 1. I'm going to go ahead and trace this new triangle. I'm going to use different colored markers today. I'm going to connect those 3 points, and that's my first pink triangle. An important thing also is when you are drawing your new triangle, make sure you label your new triangles. We have B prime, C prime, and then we have A prime. I'm going to go ahead and write down the coordinates of the new triangle. A prime is at 3, 2. B prime is at 0, 2. And then C prime is at 2, 4. So if you notice here, you can see a pattern between these guys here. Notice like the 2 and the 3, they get flip-flopped. Now it's 3, 2. So I know the X and the Y, they're going to switch places. So I'm going to put Y, X. But then also notice this -2 turned positive. This -2 also turned positive, but the Y's stay the same. So it's going to be Y, -X. So that's a generic rule. You can write down X and Y flip. The X changes sign. We're going to go ahead and put our triangle on our pink triangle. We're going to go ahead and rotate it 180 degrees, which means we're rotating it one more time. So when I say 180 degrees, that means I'm rotating it once and then twice. I'm going to use green for this triangle here. And I'm going to go ahead and plot my new points and draw my new triangle. This right here was B. We'll use double prime since it's a new triangle. This one was C double prime. That's what the apostrophe means. And then it's A double prime. In this case, A double prime is at 2, -3. B double prime is at 2, 0. C double prime is at 4, -2. Notice here the 2's, the 3's, they are still in the same position, but you can see that the signs are probably different. So instead of -2, it became +2. -2 became +2. Instead of -4 became +4. So the x changes signs. And if you look at the y, it was 3, now it's -3. 0 stays the same, 2, -2. So the y also. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and rotate it 270 degrees clockwise. So if I'm at my original triangle, 270 means you're rotating it 3 times. So 1, 2, and 3. Use purple for this guy. I'm gonna draw my new triangle here. And we're gonna use 3 since it's a third image. So 3 triple prime. And the coordinates of my A triple prime are -3, -2, 0, -2, -2, -4. If you don't like using patty paper and you like using the rules, you can see that the X and the Y definitely switch places, right? Instead of 2, 3, it's now 3, 2. The signs are a little bit flip-flopped. They actually, let's see, the -2 stays the same. So the Y is gonna stay the same, but the X changes signs. So X and Y flip, X changes signs. So you can use patty paper or you can use these rules, whatever you feel more comfortable with. The last thing we're gonna do here is if I'm at my pre-image, my original triangle, and I rotate it 360, that means I'm rotating it 4 times. And if you rotate 360, that means you should be back to your original. So in this final column, we're just gonna write down the original pre-image coordinates. X and Y just stay the same as X and Y. All of these rules are also stated on your transformation sheet here. So CW stands for clockwise, CCW stands for counterclockwise, which brings us to our back example. So if you turn it over to the back side, I'm going to use a fresh sheet of patty paper. Notice here, all of these guys are now counterclockwise. So I'm going to go ahead and trace my X and my Y axis on my patty paper. I'm also going to trace the triangle. We have triangle FGH. And I'm also going to label FGH directly on my patty paper. It's especially important that you label your triangle so that you know which is which. Up on top here, I'm going to write down the pre-image coordinates. I have F, which is at -2, -1. G is at -4, -3. H is at -1, -4. Notice here we are going counterclockwise. So counterclockwise is when you're turning your paper to the left. So let's start off with our first triangle here. If I want to rotate it 90 degrees counterclockwise, that means I'm taking my paper and I'm rotating it once to the left. So make sure you turn it to the left. So you're down here. Go ahead and graph my new triangle. I have F prime, H prime, and then G prime. Connect my points. F prime, I'm at 1, -2. G prime, I'm at 3, -4. H prime, I'm at 4, -1. Again, if you like using the rules, you can use this paper here. 90 degrees counterclockwise is down here. Counterclockwise, which is -y, X. if I want to rotate my triangle now 180 degrees counterclockwise, 180 means you're moving your paper 2 times. Counterclockwise means you're moving it twice to the left. So there's one rotation. There's my second rotation. I'm going to go ahead and copy down this triangle. Connect those points. I'm going to label this F double prime, G double prime, H double prime. My coordinates of F double prime are at 2, 1. My G double prime is at 4, 3. My H double prime is at 1, 4. If you look here, the 2, the 1, 4, 3, they all stay the same spot so that the X and the Y are the same. But notice that the signs flip. So -2 became +2, -1 became +1. So that means I'm going to put the negative sign in front. That just means that I flip the signs. So X and Y switch signs. I'm going to rotate 270 degrees. So rotate 270 means I'm going to rotate it 3 times. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to use purple. And I'm going to trace my new triangle. That's why it's super important that you label the point so that you know that this point right here is G triple prime. That one's F triple prime. And this one is H triple prime. So F triple prime is at -1, 2. G triple prime is at -3, 4. H triple prime is at -4, 1. And I see with the X and the Y, we see that they do switch places, and only the X switches, because instead of -2 it turns +2. Instead of -4 it turns +4. Instead of -1 it turns +1. So Y comma -X. So X and Y flip, X switch signs. And lastly, if you see 360, that means you know that it is the original, right? If you do a full 360 counterclockwise, that's 4 rotations, and that should give you back to your original, or the same thing as your pre-image coordinates. So that's -2, -1, -4, -3, -1, -4. So XY just stay the same as XY.